And continuing on, we've got Seth in Idaho, who had, I guess, a question for Don.
Hello.
How you doing, Seth?
Good. Yeah, my question for Don is just, when specifically talking about the question of slavery, atheists don't always, like, for example, with their sexual ethics. I've heard some atheists say that, well, I'm okay with gay rights and incest is okay as well, as long as nobody gets hurt. Some are against incest, that sort of thing. So atheists have different standards when it comes to their ethics. I'm wondering, when it comes to the question of slavery, what moral standard do you use to determine whether it's right or wrong?
Well, I guess my morals are based on reason, responsibility, and compassion. So reason to understand the world, responsibility to take responsibility for my actions and understand their consequences, and compassion to have compassion for others and understand the effect I have on others when I'm doing something. And it's the old question for slavery. It's the old question is, would you like to be a slave? And if not, then why would you inflict that on others?
Okay. My question for you then is, well, I promise I have a point with this. Have you ever owned like a cat or a dog or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So humans are highly evolved animals. Why does the fact that they're more evolved mean that it's wrong to own them? I mean, I'm assuming you don't have a moral problem with owning a cat or a dog. Humans are just evolved. What's wrong with owning them?
So first of all, the concept of more evolved is a nonsensical statement. We are not more evolved than anything. That's a complete misunderstanding of evolution. It puts it as a kind of a ladder. When it's not a ladder, it's a tree. But I have pets. I have a variety of them. We've got 4 cats and 2 snakes, and I've had lots of other pets as well. They're not slaves. They are not simple property. I view it as custodianship and responsibility. And in the case of, for example, domestic cats, these are cats, for right or for wrong, that have been bred to be pretty much reliant on humans. This is the domestication process. My pets aren't slaves. And also when it comes to rights and freedoms and moral responsibility, your moral responsibility is proportional to your ability to comprehend. We don't hold children, we don't hold people with diminished mental capacity responsible in the same way that we would hold other people responsible. And when it comes to dealing with the ethics of a situation, it is about, it's always about 2 beings with rights and desires, etc. And how do you work out the relationship between the 2 of them? So, if one of our cats wants to run away, we would be sad, and we would do what we could to protect it, because we understand that, it doesn't have the same understanding we do, but that's not in any way comparable to a slave.
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding, and I'm not trying to be passive-aggressive or anything. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I called in specifically to talk to Don.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Can I talk to him instead? I want to know what his views on that sort of thing are.
Okay.
I mean, are yours pretty much the same as Matt's?
Well, yeah, I'd say so. The question of are we more evolved? Well, we've all been, our genes have all been on this planet about the same amount of time, and if we have a common ancestor, we're all equally evolved.
My question is, okay, yes, it happens that we've gotten rid of it. Why? By what? If you're going to say something is morally wrong or morally right, what standard are you using? By what standard?
The main one is harm, right? Treating someone as a pack animal or as a slave is harmful to that person, right?
Okay, so harming people is wrong, you would say. Okay, but if we're just all evolved, if we're just matter, why is it? I mean, if an animal kills another animal, no one gets. I mean, unless you're an animal rights activist who wants. Unless you're concerned about that sort of thing. I mean, if a lion kills a gazelle, nobody gets upset. They're animals. We're animals too. why get upset if people mistreat each other?
Because we have higher expectations of humans. Because
Well, that's
humans
the
have the
question.
ability
Why,
to reason.
why should we have
cap-
higher expectations of humans?
Because we have bigger brains, and we hold people accountable to various their actions and these sorts of things.
Okay, but
Is there some reason you didn't
yeah.
want to talk to me?
Matt's feeling neglected.
Well,
Because
sorry,
these
I'm
are
neglecting
mind-numbingly easy questions to address, and I'm not quite sure what the difficulty here is. Do you think?
I'm trying to make this a very focused call, and that's why I'm trying to talk to Don. So, Don, you keep saying, well, we have bigger brains, you know, we have higher expectations. Okay, why
Your voice
is it
sounds
wrong
shockingly familiar.
for others to enslave each other?
Say that again, please.
You're saying, well, we have bigger brains, we have higher expectations of humans. Okay, you're talking. Why does that mean it's wrong for one animal to enslave another animal?
I don't know. Have you ever been a slave?
You don't know? So you're admitting that you think slavery is wrong, but you don't know why.
I gave you an answer earlier that I didn't want to be a slave, and therefore I can reason that other people don't want to be slaves also, and
right. But that goes back to my original question of feelings. I mean, I may not, you know, if I murdered someone, I may not feel like I deserve the death penalty, but other people, I might deserve it. My feelings on the matter don't matter. The question is whether it's right or wrong, and you're saying slavery is wrong, and I don't know why.
What do you mean by right or wrong?
That's what I'm asking you. What's your standard of morality? He's
Well,
saying,
you
well,
just
it's
said
wrong, but
that
I don't know
you
why.
just said that because you feel it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. What gives you the right to exclude how we feel about something?
Well, again, I used an analogy. I may, if somebody commits murder, I may feel like I don't deserve to be punished for it. But the fact that I feel like I don't need to be punished for it doesn't mean I shouldn't.
Okay, but the person who was murdered was harmed, right? Objectively.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
It was an animal killing another animal. Survival of the fittest. What's wrong with that?
Wow. Go ahead.
Oh, gosh.
Because he wants to talk to you.
Okay.
Because he's afraid.
Is this the type of society you want to live in? It's not one that I want to live in.
Right. What I'm asking, I feel like what my point is that you're dodging the question. You say, well, you don't think that slavery is right, do you? Well, no, I don't. I'm wondering how do you account for it? You're saying it's wrong. Well, we don't want to live in a society with slaves. Well, there have been countries that have lived in societies with slaves, and the slave owners seem to enjoy it.
Okay. Well, I guess the fundamental principle here is that we're all sort of equal, right? And that
Okay.
some people aren't more equal than others. In
Okay, fair
the
enough.
animal farm analogy, right? And so, if you're oppressing one group of people to support another, then that's wrong because of this basic principle, right?
So it's wrong for one group of animals to oppress another group of animals.
Well, that's not what he said. I don't know why you go to that.
Well, at the end of the day, my question is, why do your views on it, why are they obligatory to other people?
They're not. It's not. It has nothing to do with the fact that these are my views. It has nothing to do with the fact that these are Don's views. What we are appealing to is the facts about reality, which are true independent of our position. Slavery isn't immoral because it's my view that it's immoral. I view it as immoral because I recognize the problems that come with creating a society that permits slavery. You can't just tie it to...
What if there's a society who wants to permit those problems?
There's nothing...
Are they wrong in doing that?
You just went to a... what if there's a society that wants to? There have been societies, and they've done that. There's nothing to stop them from doing it. However, that doesn't mean that they have instituted a system that is actually beneficial. They could be instituting a harmful system. And so the appeal to resolve this is to look at the facts about reality and not what any individual society or individual's opinions are.
So you're not certain that slavery is wrong?
No, not absolutely certain.
Okay.
Are you?
Sounds good. I am, yeah.
Now, just because I'm not absolutely certain, you didn't ask how certain I was.
Okay. So
Now,
you're not certain.
does it matter whether or not I'm does it matter whether or not I'm absolutely certain, or if I'm just really, 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 really close to certain? Because I'm convinced that I can't be absolutely certain about anything.
Are you certain about that?
No.
Okay.
Have you been watching Seitan Bruggenkate? Because if not, you can watch that debate where I actually addressed all this. Are you certain, Seth?
I am, yeah.
How did you get to be absolutely certain? Tell me something you're absolutely absolutely certain about, and how you got to be absolutely certain.
I can summarize the position, but I don't want you to take the summary as an argument.
I just said, tell me one thing that you're absolutely certain about and how you got to be absolutely certain.
I would summarize it by saying that C.S. Lewis gave a good description of it when he put it this way, that arguing against the existence of God is a lot like cutting off the tree branch that you're sitting on. Any other position slits its own throat.
Well, thank you for that colorful bit of prose, but you didn't tell me one thing that you were absolutely certain about, and you didn't tell me how you were absolutely certain.
Well, God created everything.
And so you're absolutely certain that God created everything?
Yep.
How did you get to be absolutely certain about that?
I get my worldview from Scripture, and Scripture claims that he did that.
And how do you know the Scripture is absolutely correct?
Because it was written by an infallible God.
How do you know that it was written by a God?
Well, I see where you're getting at this, Matt, and here's the problem. Any hole that you think you can poke in my arguments or worldview, you can't be certain about.
I'm not asserting. I'm not asserting that I'm absolutely certain.
Just because you're certain doesn't mean you're right.
See, I have this great new T-shirt with a brain and a vat on it, and it says "I don't know" and "You don't either." And so you're the one who's claiming that you're absolutely certain, and I'm asking you how. And as we drill back, all of a sudden you realized, oh wait, this is going to lead me to a trap where I have to acknowledge that I'm not actually absolutely certain. Aren't you a fallible being?
Yes, I am.
Then how is it possible for you to be absolutely certain about anything?
Because I have an infallible source from which
How do you know that that source is infallible? If you have to assess a source to determine whether or not it's fallible or infallible, and you're fallible, how could you ever determine that the source is infallible?
Because no other position makes sense.
How do you know? How do you know that no other position makes sense?
I'm talking to Don, so I'm going to go back to Don.
No, you're done talking to anyone, Seth. Thank you so much for calling and acknowledging that your failings there, because you don't get to dictate that just because the going gets tough and your fallacies related to certainty have been exposed, that you get to move on to Don. Have a good weekend. Yeah, I do this shit for a living.
What fun being a punchy bag. Let's go to another caller.
Yeah, let's do.